my personal opinion is, after I just dropped an F-bomb, now I'm going to throw some religion in here. God created us and he's awesome. So I don't think God created us to be mediocre. And we live in America where you can pursue your dreams much better than in other countries where you're drinking water out of the same river someone just took a dump 5 feet from you.
Right.
So you're obligated, in my opinion, to go after it when you're on this planet, because you only got this one life and you don't get a refund if it sucks.
All right, here we are. Man, this is pretty cool. I haven't done a video in a while, or at least a video worth of shit in a while. So it's really cool to make the triumphant return back to the interwebs on this YouTube thing with an extremely special guest that I'm proud to have on, that I'm excited to have on. Kris Crowley, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Rob, thanks for having me. It is an honor, and honor's all mine. Thank you for your kind words.
Oh, well, we go back, yes, and we've kind of walked through fire together. And I think that's going to be interesting for the 11 loyal listeners and watchers that I have here on this channel to really kind of delve into. So why don't you kind of get everybody up to speed on who you are,
okay,
what you do, kind of how we know each other. Just, I love interviews because I don't have to do shit. I can just let you take the floor and entertain the shit out of these people. So please get us up to speed, brother.
Well, welcome to the Kris Crowley show, for that matter, I guess.
Yeah.
So kind of, I guess we'll go backstory here. My name's Kris Crowley. I'm a recent kind of, I guess you could say, seasoned rookie in natural bodybuilding. 49 years old, started getting into bodybuilding with some sort of serious level of commitment roughly around 2019. And prior to that, I was extremely overweight. Before I met you, I was probably right around 260 pounds, and it wasn't Arnold Schwarzenegger pounds, it was Danny DeVito pounds. And so little Twins reference for those of us old enough to remember that movie. And so long, kind of where it all started, I was in Detroit on a business trip, and there was a guy sitting across the room, typing away on his computer, and his polo shirt had muscles. I mean, this guy was just jacked. And I was like, holy shit, that guy must be a bodybuilder. So instead of staring at him for 20 minutes and making him think I was even weirder than he probably already thought, I asked him, so are you a bodybuilder? He says, well, I'm not a pro bodybuilder. I didn't know all the different terms. I just thought if you were a bodybuilder, you were a pro, because I thought that was what you did, right? And he explains the whole amateur and the pro card. He says, but I am an NPC IFBB promoter. It turned out this guy's name was Dave Bowers. He did the Indie Pro and a few other shows. And so I thought to myself, I'm not getting any younger. I think I was 44, 45 at the time. Irrelevant. It's time to start doing this. And I was already really heavy, and my doctor was one of those few doctors that actually wants you to get healthy as opposed to just pop you full of pills. So he had told me to get on a low carbohydrate diet back then even. So okay, you know what? Let me make this be the catalyst to get me into shape, try to do a bodybuilding show. Had to stay natural for a few different reasons. One is I'm in law enforcement, so I wasn't about to lose my job just to make sure my shirt filled out a little bit tighter. Second was, since my health was already bad enough as it is, I didn't want to introduce something that could have made it worse. Because back then I was on 2 different blood pressure medicines and I was on cholesterol pills. I'm like, I know people can say that steroids aren't dangerous. I don't know enough. I'm too ignorant. I'm not about to find out the hard way. So I said, okay, it's got to be natural. So I found a natural show. The first show I did, I wasn't ready for it. I still looked like a chubby guy in a thong. And so whatever, I did it, and I'm glad I did it because it got my feet wet. And I was like, okay, I looked ridiculous. There was even a guy in the crowd laughing. I wanted to beat the shit out of him, but I deserved it because I walked up, I was like 210 pounds at a 5'9" frame. Again, not good 210 pounds. So, all right, screw it. Let's do it right this next go around. So that's when I really dove deep, and Google ketogenic bodybuilding, ketogenic natural bodybuilding, yada, yada, yada. And yours was one of the first YouTube channels that came up.
LMNT, LMNT, LMNT. Packets are electrolytes, sodium. It's the real deal. They're this awesome little drink packet. You drop it in your water, shake it up, drink it. I will literally have two or three of these things a day. Drop one of these, sometimes two, in a big water jug and drink it prior to training, intra workout, all the way through training. You're going to be burning through sodium and electrolytes, and these things replenish and restore, and they taste freaking amazing. Support this channel. Support your electrolyte needs by ordering some LMNT. Listen, if you use my link, and that is www.drinklmnt.com/Rob Goodwin, LMNT will give you a bonus packet of drink packets. You get this big sample pack for free just by placing an order using my link. Get some packets. These things are amazing. Get some now. Put them in your water. Put them in your coffee. Chug them down. Drink them pre-workout. Drink them post-workout. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. LMNT. I am a certified salt dealer.
Well, look at this guy. And, you know, you and I were close to the same age so I was like, okay, this guy, and of course you were big. I was like, let me just listen to what this guy's got to say. And one of the things that really struck me was you and there's a couple other guys out there too. There's you and there's this other guy, Keto Savage, the two Robs of the keto bodybuilding world. Okay. Both of you didn't do the whole nonsense of calories don't matter. There's so many keto Kennys out there. I'm stealing one of your terms that'll tell you that you can basically eat. And I did this the first go around, which is why I was so still chubby, that you can eat as much as you want, as long as it was keto, because the calories don't matter. And you put it specific as like, you know, calories don't just disappear because they're keto calories. You know, I'm paraphrasing, but it's like, they still matter. Although not all calories are created equal. Obviously, sugar is going to affect you a lot more than protein. It's still one of those, calories mattered. And then what I liked when I was looking through your stuff, I still wasn't ready to commit to having a coach because I was the only breadwinner in the house, yada, yada, yada. But you had the KGB, ketogenic bodybuilding rules of engagement. And what really, really struck me with that was learning that our body uses either fats or carbohydrates for fuel, fat being a better resource, even if carbohydrates are quicker. If you're trying to lose fat, perhaps instead of getting the energy from your 2 pounds of butter you put in your coffee and your ribeye steak, perhaps you should try to go off of the fat on your butt, on your gut, you know, in my case, all over the place. Maybe eat some chicken breasts and eat some egg whites. So that way and I was like, oh, this is really cool. So I went with that. Next go around, even though I didn't place first place, I definitely looked like somebody who deserved to be on a bodybuilding stage. Right. I followed you religiously. I was putting up my attention whore pictures every week on your ketogenic bodybuilding page, on my Facebook page and Instagram, all that other stuff. Then finally, it's like, okay, we're going to do this right. I competed in Dave's show in Indianapolis. Again, it was an untested show, but I didn't care about that. I said, okay, I got to do it this the right way. I'm going to actually hire a coach. Hence where our relationship started, in 2020, I think, or 2020.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And I did his show dead last in every category because everybody was like 3 times my size. But then I did a natural show 2 weeks later, won the with Natural Muscle Association. I won the overall masters and the overall open bodybuilding and got my pro card in both divisions. And it's been a great ride ever since. And now all those health problems, I know I've really babbled on and on here. I'm sorry about that. All those health problems I had, the high blood pressure, the high cholesterol, are gone. I'm on 0 meds because I actually decided to take care of my health and not just turn off the check engine light, actually find out why the hell I was having these problems.
Right. And you did, you know, it's funny. I remember distinctly those two shows because both of them, I was in my garage doing some mundane honeydew chore for my wife.
Sure.
And she kept saying, "What the hell are you doing with your phone?" I'm like, you know, I got a client competing. And I was like stressed out and we were back and forth. And, you know, I was like, you know, this is what matters right now. I promise you, I will trim the hedges here shortly. But I distinctly remember that. And I also distinctly remember when we got, you know, the feedback for the second show where you won. I just remember being high as a kite because, you know, that's the biggest joy in my career is seeing, you know, I always say I like to see good people do great things. And or you can switch that. Great people do good things. Either way, you know, it all applies. And you really crushed it. And what really set you apart is from just between the two shows, you pushed it into another gear. You never questioned the process. You did exactly what you were told, worked your ass off. And there was even a point where I thought, we may not get there in time, but you did. You nailed it. You put in the work. And what's also cool that I think we have to mention, we can probably talk about this more, is one of the things that I'm praised about and completely viciously attacked about constantly is my use of carbohydrate. And I firmly believe that there's a time and a place, an amount and a frequency for it, depending on the athlete, in depending on the criteria, what the goals are, et cetera.
Right.
And you never blinked when I said, okay, we need to structurally carb you back up. We need to do this. We need to do that because this is going to bring a greater aesthetic on stage. You just said, got it, done, do it. And you just did the work and you crushed it. And that was one of the more proud moments of being a coach that I've ever had. And I've been doing this shit for 30 years. So you crushed it. And, you know, again, publicly, hats off to you for everybody out there. And again, proof that it doesn't matter who you are, where you are, what you're going through. Anybody can make that wholesale change and do miraculous things if they just decide to put in the work and stay committed and stay consistent. And that's what you did. So I just want to make sure you understand that what you went through, especially during those two shows, was pretty fucking Herculean, man. And you really crushed it. You really did.
Gonna make me cry, but thank you.
No, it was an awesome thing to be a part of. You know, I felt like a proud dad or something, you know, or a proud brother. So it was a cool thing. So being that you went through all that, you literally earned a pro card in that federation, which is no, you know, small accomplishment. Where are you at now? What happens from there?
Well, you know, it's one of those things where, so the first go around, like you said, it was a suffer fest. It sucked ass. I mean, there were times you had me, I'll never forget the exact number, 1,318 calories.
Yeah, we had to.
Yeah, we had to. And it was rough. And so, you know, going through that year, the next 2 years of competing, you know, trying to do all the different, you know, like you said, listen to. So like, I was trying to do the different hacks. Like, okay, maybe I'll intermittent fast this time, so my meals will be larger. Maybe I'll do this. No, listen to your damn coach. And so I was like, it was, you know, I've still competed. I've still done well, but not as well as I wanted to these past couple of years. But that was 100% on me. You know what I mean? It wasn't, had nothing to do with anything that I was told to do. I was doing things I wasn't told to do. Do you know what I mean?
Sure, yeah.
My comfort food tastes and looks a lot like whiskey. And so enjoying a little bit too much of that comfort food during the off season, which I hate that term, during the gain phase, I was like, well, I can have the extra calories right now. So, well, no, you know, as you get older, I've learned I'm not in my 20s anymore. So the calories don't come off as quickly as I'd like them to. So you got to stay structured the whole damn time. All right.
Yep.
Obviously, when you're in your gain phase, you have a little bit more levity, if you will, whatever the word I'm looking for. You have a little bit more leeway to perhaps enjoy that comfort food once every other week, as opposed to once or twice every day. You know what I mean?
Right. 100%. Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's like, it's become a learning experience that this is a lifelong thing. And you had, on your podcast, you had Dr. Ted Naiman, I think is his name. Yep. On your podcast a while back. And he said something that everybody, whether they want to walk around with a thong and a spray tan and a smile or not, needs to recognize that everyone is a bodybuilder, because a bodybuilder, I'm paraphrasing, of course, is nothing more than a reflection of that person's diet or an exercise or lack thereof.
Right.
So
Right.
it's one of those things where this isn't just a 12-week cutting phase. This is a all around, just wanting to be healthy, wanting to be the guy that when I walk into any room, whether no matter where I'm at, whether it be in the gym or in a restaurant with my wife somewhere, I'm in one of the best shape people there. Even if
You're the freak in the room, is what you're
right, the
trying to
freak
say.
in the room. And whether again, there's a lot of these people, I'm old enough to be their father, but yet I'm doing better than they are, because it's one of those, this is something I chose to do, and I want to live the rest of my life this way. Whether no matter how long God's got me on this good, this green earth, I want to be in the best shape possible for as long as ever. And my quality in my life is exponentially 1,000 times better. I mean, shit, 49. I put on these rock shows with my band here in Cleveland, and when I got to do a little rock star squat where I'm putting my butt all the way down to the ground and holding the guitar, no problem. 50, 60, 70 pounds ago, I couldn't do that. And it's one of those, the fountain of youth is found in the gym.
And nobody would want to see that.
Right, exactly. That's true. A lot, you hear that. You hear that a lot. People sit there and say, oh, I don't mind a dad bod. Okay, well, you don't see Kevin James on the cover of Harlequin novels. You see, you see someone more look like The Rock than you see that. And it's like, that's bullshit when you say that you're attracted to a guy that's unhealthy. No, you're not. You're saying that. And if you are really attracted to that, you're one of the few individuals that is.
Yeah. No, that's not true. So you talked about Ted Naiman, and I can echo that. I've been saying that for years as well. What people need to understand is, especially over the 40 mark, there's nothing more important than muscle.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't understand sometimes what I mean by that. Muscle is life.
Yes.
Every good thing that you do is because you have ample amounts of lean, metabolically active muscle tissue on your body. And yes, everybody is a bodybuilder. And how I always differentiated that is, I said, there are two types of people. There are bodybuilders, and then there are competitive bodybuilders. Competitive bodybuilders are the guys that, go to the absolute extreme with that aesthetic and stand on stage in the equivalent of their underwear in front of 1,000 people competing against their peers. And then just a bodybuilder is anybody who has a desire to be a better version of themselves every day. And you do that through the addition of lean muscle mass. That doesn't mean you're trying to be some hulkish, freak. That just means the inclusion and preservation of lean muscle mass in combination with trying to get rid of as much unwanted body fat as possible, and being able to maneuver that physique through, compromising positions on any given time. That's the goal. And if that is the goal, which it should be every human being's goal who can draw breath, then you are a bodybuilder. That's what you do. So I don't compete anymore. I did that for almost 10 years. But now my goal is to preserve as much of that lean mass as possible, and to be able to move it around in a way that affords me the ability to take on anything that life may throw at me. And that's what everybody listening this needs to understand. That should be the goal. Is it easy? Fuck no, it's not easy. Anything that is valuable and essential in life that brings great reward, the path to that is very narrow and very difficult, and it will be wrought with peril for sure. So, it's good to hear you using words like suffering, and this hard work that you went through, because there are influencers out there, if that's the word we're still using, I can't keep up. Their goal is clicks and follows and sales. Right. And that's what infuriates me about, some of the people in this space. When your overriding goal is, and you make a living by the people that you interact with on a daily basis becoming better in every metric that there is to measure, if my clients don't achieve success, they fire me, So it's, we are practitioners. We're not just theorists, we have to put things in action. We are clinicians. We're in the trenches. Right. And, from one practitioner to another, we have to let people know that it's about the grind. It's about the work. Right. But I would I'll speak for you and then I'll let you expand. I would be willing to guess that any amount of suffering and work that you went through, during all those long months in prep, you probably wouldn't trade a moment of that. In fact, you probably, like I, even questioned if you could have went harder, and you regret the fact that you maybe didn't. I mean, we all think that way, I think.
Right.
Once you adopt that mindset of work and consistency and going to battle, you put the blue Braveheart paint on and you march into war. I mean, there's just something epic about that. And so many people are missing out on that experience out of fear, or being told by people in their circle of influence that it's, that they shouldn't do that, or there's no reason to do that. And they tell you that because they're trying to bring you down to their level just to justify their laziness. And we have to be, the alpha in that case, in all measures, men and women.
Right.
So, again, I didn't want to speak for you, but I like the fact that you brought up the fact that it's hard ass work and it's suffering, but I think you would echo that it's worth every minute of being in the fire.
I can't agree more. Going back to the Indianapolis show and then the show where I won my pro card, and yes, starving. I was in Myrtle Beach for vacation, and my part of the vacation, it wasn't horrible, but I wasn't enjoying the funnel cakes and all that other shit, because I had a mission before me that meant I had to eat, packets of tuna on the beach and drop the damn thing and go, well, I guess I'm having sand with my tuna right now because I need that damn tuna. But going from somebody who I hadn't seen my shoes on my feet or other appendages when I was looking down in years, to someone who had a six-pack for the first time in my life. I mean, even I was in the Marine Corps, for crying out loud, and I was in better shape in my late 40s than I was in my 20s. And then the thing that was probably the best, I might be yelling a little bit too much in this microphone. I think the thing that was awesome was the day before the show. We're in Indianapolis, my wife and I, and we're walking around. I think they have some sort of river walk or something. And we're sitting down, and she said to me, I'm really proud of you. And reminiscent about that right now, I'm about to get choked up again. And I was like, oh my gosh, I know this has been hard on her, probably more so than anything, because you get hangry, the hormones, your libido goes down in the toilet for 6 to 8 weeks, just non-existent, period. Oh my God, thank you, because that really means a lot. And it was a struggle for everybody, but I wouldn't change it at all. I have a new lease on life. And I mean, I've inspired other people like I haven't talked to in a long time. I'm originally from Chicago. I live here in Cleveland. A lot of my friends from high school that they were overweight. They're like, Kris, you inspired me to go on and get into shape, and they're doing great. Some of them are doing phenomenally great, but they're all like, yeah, man, you inspired me. And it's like, well, when we share our experiences with others, like you said, there's people, oh, you don't need to do that. You don't need to. I don't need to do it. I want to.
Right.
I'm not asking for your fucking approval, part of my language, but I'm doing this for myself. And my personal opinion is, after I just dropped an F-bomb, now I'm going to throw some religion in here. God created us, and he's awesome. So I don't think God created us to be mediocre. And we live in America, where you can pursue your dreams much better than in other countries where you're drinking water out of the same river someone just took a dump 5 feet from you.
Right.
So you're obligated, in my opinion, to go after it when you're on this planet, because you only got this one life, and you don't get a refund if it sucks. If it sucks and you live in America, it's your fault.
Right. Yeah. There's only a small percentage of people out there who are willing to push hard, to fight, to be uncomfortable, and to do that consistently over time. That's who I market to. And I make that very clear. And I think you probably do the same thing. I never want to be the guy that's, tricking people into thinking that I have some revolutionary new program, that you can, in minutes a day, achieve your greatest physique in the shortest amount of time using some stupid ass revolutionary new program there's no revolutionary aspect to it at all. What people need to hear is, oh, guess what? The path to success is not that complicated, but it's walking the path and overcoming the obstacles that are before you on a daily, hourly, and even by minute basis. That separates the winners from the losers, the achievers to the non-achievers. I'm perfectly happy marketing to the 2% of the population that is willing to walk through fire, and I will walk through it with them. You know, I would much rather have that than some plastic facade that really doesn't carry any weight, that really can't bring about the change in others that I want to see occur. I want fighters. You know, you're a Marine. You want, you know, your guy to your left and to your right to be able to, you know, drag you out of a freaking foxhole if necessary. And you know, they have your back. Well, I would much rather have a small band of freaks that are willing to, you know, walk through fire than people who excel at mediocrity just to make a, you know, for me to make a buck. I'll never have that. And, you know, we've had those conversations that you're the same type, and you're coaching now, you know, so you use this incredible experience that you went through, and you're using that to bring out the best in others where you live, you know, and that is super commendable. So, so that's another way that it's changed you, I would think, right? I mean,
for sure.
You want to,
well, it's funny that you mentioned the about the training, because I get a lot of them, you know, like questioning, well, shouldn't we be doing it this way? Shouldn't we be doing it that way? It's like, they're, you know, Bruce Lee said it best, you know, like you can't have this like cult-like mentality. Like if you're a judo practitioner, you can't say that only judo works and you shouldn't learn boxing. You know, if you're a karate guy, you can't say kung fu doesn't have things, you know. And I know I learned that from you. It's like, you know, you take some of the great stuff from the different things you've learned and you put it together. You know, like you said, the use of carbohydrates, as somebody who's preaching ketogenic diet, or carnivore for that matter, it's not like you're saying that you should be shooting up, you know, powdered donuts in your veins. You're talking about having rice cakes and honey, maybe 30 grams of carbs before you go to the gym. You know what I mean? So
right.
Kind of backtrack a little bit when it comes to when I'm trying to train my clients. I will have some of them that have, or I have, not necessarily my clients now, but people I've talked to say, well, you know, what about this, where they're talking about some sort of marketing thing where it's like, you know, well, if you eat this kind of food or you put this sort of patch on your skin, it's going to help you lose weight. And you're like, look, I'm not going to give you snake oil bullshit. I'm going to tell you exactly what it's going to take to get there. And you're going to have to take ownership of it. You know, if you want the extreme results, you have to do extreme shit. Okay. Right. You might have to get on that treadmill for an hour and hate every minute past, you know, 15, you know, past the first minute. Okay. You might have to do that. You're going to have to lift really heavy things, growl, grunt, and bark. And then you're going to have to go home and you're going to have to eat the same food that you ate yesterday. It's just going to have to. But it's one of those things of like, how important are your goals to you? Do you want it bad enough? Because it's not going to happen by just listening to some jackass on YouTube who's using a filter to make himself look good. And he's probably doing all the work he knows he's supposed to be doing to make himself look that good. But in the interim, he's trying to tell you in just 5 minutes a day, you can look like Frank Zane tomorrow. No, you can't. You have to put in the hard work. You have to become obsessed with the process. In my opinion, I mean, not my opinion, in my experience, it took just about all of my thoughts were consumed around becoming the best Kris Crowley I could become on that bodybuilding stage.
Yep.
Did I sacrifice other things at the time? Yes, I did. But that's okay, because this is what I was focused on. I was laser-like focused, woke up in the morning at 3 o'clock every fucking morning, took my pre-workout, took my rice cakes, did my protein drink, listened to a bodybuilding motivation podcast on the way to the gym, and then just beat the hell out of myself, went back home and did it again the next day.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. I mean, I stopped competing in 2021 is when I hung it up. But though my goals have changed, the mindset has not. So, you know, so now in addition to my 4-day high intensity split that I do in the gym, I'm also throwing in 45-minute rucks on dynamic terrain in the middle of the woods, sometimes at, 6 a.m. when it's freezing butt ass cold outside. And then I might come back and do some metabolic conditioning. I might do some sledgehammer swings and some farmer's carries and, all kinds of crazy shit, heavy bag work, whatever. It's all about being the best version of myself that I can possibly be. Now that I know that I'm not going to stand on stage and the goal is almost nearly 100% aesthetic, I know that I just had to make a small lateral shift to understand how to train to be the best version of myself I can possibly be. It's still an ass kicker. You know, it's still a supreme focus on training hard, how I divide my macros, how I consume nutrients, how do I bring in nutrient dense foods, how do I find the balance between sustaining lean mass and not, losing muscle, and manipulation of body fat and body composition and performance. So now at 55 years old, I'm preparing for the next journey, and that's to be an absolute freak in the damn room at 60, at 65,
Right.
because I refuse to be anything less than that. And for me to slow down or take my foot off the gas is not only a disservice to myself, my wife, my family, but it's to anybody out there that might put their faith and trust in me for what I do. If I'm not
Right.
leading by example, I'm an absolute phony. So that drives me to be, a freak 50-year-old plus, every single day, and keep moving. And I know that this experience that you've gained from bodybuilding competition, it's not about standing on stage and getting the award, as great as that is. It's the experience of what you went through to achieve that goal and how it will then carry you for the rest of your life.
Right.
And you will never be that fat guy again. And that the value of that, I just wish people could see the extreme. It's like building a business. You
Right.
may work and toil and suffer and late nights and long weekends and time away from family to try to achieve some sort of financial success. And then when you achieve that success, you would say, hey, I don't regret all the hell I went through to get here. But yet they're not willing to do that same level of effort for their bodies and their health and their longevity. It just makes no sense to me. So it's good to hear that again from somebody like yourself, who took it to that most elite level, but then used that experience to keep driving them to be the best version of themselves that they can possibly be. So that's awesome that you're doing that.
Thank you. If I can add about the health thing. So, you're 55, I'm 49, so we're both in our later 20s, as I like to say. But we have friends around our age group and even younger who
Yeah.
have medical problems.
Yeah.
And that only reason why they are that they're there is because they're not doing the right things. One of the biggest motivators for myself, all right, and I love my father. He's a huge inspiration to me. I've learned a lot from him, mainly how to be a good father and provide. He worked 3 jobs when I was a kid, and he's done a great job. But he never really took care of his health. And I'll never forget, I was at the Board of Patrol Academy in '99, and he was 48 years old, and I get a call that he had a stroke. And I hadn't seen my father in a couple of years because I was in California with the Marine Corps. And so it scared the hell out of me. And because I'm like, man, and my father's only, I didn't even think about the age. I just thought about the fact that I might lose my dad. And I'm talking to him. He's doing okay. He recovered from it, and he recovered from it as if it never even happened. So that was kind of like a really good wake-up call, if you will. Later on down the road, he was probably maybe closer to your age or maybe a little bit older. He had a second stroke, and he's never really fully recovered from it. His left hand became a club. He couldn't walk that well anymore. And he's 73 years old, and he lives on a hospital bed, basically at home, with a diaper on and a pad underneath him and all these other things. Now, I'm not saying that all of it is brought on by his diet and exercise or lack thereof. There's things that happen, like he fell and broke his hip and things like that. So those things happen. But, a lot of my other family members have a lot of health issues that are diet and exercise related. And I know the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. So I knew I had to do something to kick that apple as far away. I'm sorry.
No, it's good, man.
I knew I had to do something to kick that apple as far away from the tree as possible, because I know that all of us at the end of the day meet the same fate, that we're all going to be, in the ground someday. But I don't want to speed up the process. I want to be around for my children. I want to be around for my grandchildren that I might someday have. My wife deserves the best version of me every single day. And I don't want her to have to take care of me because I didn't do the right things. I didn't do the preventative maintenance. If God forbid something happens, I get into a car accident, or something bad happens that is beyond my control, that's one thing. But if things happen to me because I didn't do what's right and, eat right on a 90% basis, let's all be honest, we're going to have birthday cake. We're going to have
Sure.
cookies on Christmas Day and shit like that. But, if I'm not being consistent with my activity and my food, and then I turn around and make my wife have to, to take care of me, what am I mean, I understand till death do our part in sickness and in health, but I shouldn't have to force her to do the in sickness part. And that's just been my biggest motivator, not
Right.
just trying to look good naked. Wanting to make sure that every day, adding days to my life, but also adding life to my days.
Oh, 100%. And you don't have to, outside of bodybuilding competition that we spoke about, we are all bodybuilders, to kind of circle back to that. If you're eating right, if you're nourishing your body and you're eating in a way that is productive at all times and not destructive, you're training, you're getting, 12 to 15,000 steps in from a variety of different, ways to do that, then the body composition tends to be the side effect of that, and it takes care of itself.
Right.
I'm not trying to be 4% body fat anymore, because you and I could both say, hey, for that period of time, it's what was necessary to achieve the result in competition, but we both know that's not the healthiest place to be.
Oh,
So we do that for a time, and then we pull out of that, and then the focus is to be as healthy as we can possibly be beyond that. So even beyond competition, the lifestyle change, the wholesale lifestyle change that you went through for competition is going to carry you forward to probably maintain, low levels of body fat. If I'm between 10 and 14% body fat year round, I'm ecstatic with that.
right.
And that pretty much takes care of itself just by way of how I live my life on a daily basis. So I don't have to obsess about six packs, and that it kind of works its shit out, because I'm putting in the work on a regular basis, still enjoying my life, still having those occasional dietary transgressions that I enjoy. I would say it was kind of this weird karma thing that my youngest daughter, who still lives with me, who is extremely artistic, decided that her best outlet for that artistic expression is baking. So I'm like, at any given moment, I can walk by the kitchen and I look out there and there's my beautiful daughter in an apron, and there's sugar and flour flying everywhere. And
Right.
then, she brings out some incredible concoction that she wants me to sample. What am I going to say? No, I'm not going to
Exactly.
be that guy. But the way I live my life 90% of the time dictates the product that people see before them. And you can live a 90-10 lifestyle and be ridiculous year round.
Right. Right.
And, so I always want that to be the takeaway, that I'm not going to lie to these people. Bodybuilding competition was brutal, and
Yes.
that.
Yes.
But look at where we are because of it. The product of that is, we are going to be so mindful and aware of being the best versions of ourselves that we can possibly be long into the future.
Yeah.
So it's man, it's a beautiful place to be. And I encourage anybody, do one show, or act as if you are. Set a date, set a goal date, hire a coach if you want, and work toward that date, even if it's just to take a photograph that you can hold up for the rest of your life and say, I did that, I became that. And that walk through fire tempers you. It builds calluses, not only on your body, but on your brain, that will carry you so deep into the future it will change you completely from the inside out, and make sure that the remainder of your life is spent as productive and as fantastic as it can possibly be. So, I hope people out there listening get inspired from this, because that's my 100% goal for doing these things.
Yes.
To inspire. And then once inspired, then it's about diving into the dedication element. And because motivation wanes, I can be super motivated to go on a 45-minute ruck, but when I open the door at 5:30 in the morning and there's snow falling and it's 26 degrees, motivation goes away pretty fast.
Yes.
But then the ability to take that step out the front door, and the cool thing about that is, and we touched on that, is when you get back from that workout, you don't regret it. You don't regret the cold. You don't regret the pain. Nobody has ever walked into this gym that I'm in. I'm in my office of my gym. Nobody's ever walked in as forlorn and as pissed off and as down as they seem when they walk through the door. They always walk out on top of the world. And nobody's ever finished a grueling workout and said, man, I wish I hadn't have done that.
No.
They always say, oh man, I feel so much better. I'm so glad I did that. And you do that time and time again. It builds that callus. It builds that tempered soul that changes you from the inside out. But you have to understand that to create that recipe, it's going to have to bake in the oven for a while, you know, and you're going to have to withstand some heat before you come out changed and a beautiful product of the hard work and the ingredients that you put into that mixture. Right.
Amen. 100%. So we'll touch on that. So then when I started this journey back in whatever year it was, 2017, 2018, I was 267 pounds is what I remember my highest weight being. The day before weigh-ins at Indianapolis, I was 159 pounds.
Wow.
So, and that was about people ask me how long.
Say that again. Say that again for those in the back that didn't hear.
So I started out this journey at 267 pounds. And on the day before weigh-ins at the Indianapolis show, I was 159 pounds.
Wow. That is huge, man. That's huge.
So that was well over 100 pounds. Now, the time lapse, we should say, was about maybe 2 years. But here's the real caveat. When I did that show in, that was called, I think it's called The Rain of Fire. When I did that one show where I was still pretty chubby, that was in like a September of 2019 or something like that. And I said, okay, I'm going to go ahead and do it right this time. I did go on too long of a diet break, and I was right back up to around 240 pounds. All right. And then that's when I was like, oh shit, here it comes again. I'm starting to get stretch marks on my belly and all this other stuff. And it wasn't because I was pregnant. Like, okay, I just had a lot of food babies, I guess you could say. Decided, all right, let's do it the right way. On the show in 2019, the Mr. Cleveland, I was down to 169 pounds. So people say, you know, oh, it takes too long. Well, it does. It took me almost a year to get down to, you know, to lose about 70 pounds or so. But it was through consistency, and it was through actually seeing what you can actually do when you put your mind to it that made me addicted. You know what I mean? It's now, it's like, I'm on the whole gain phase season right now, and I'm afraid to weigh myself. But the last time I weighed in, I was around 179, 180, and that's okay. I'm okay at hovering around there, so that way when contest comes around, it's not so hard to. Still gonna have to suffer, still gonna suck, but I'm not gonna try to lose 60 pounds in a year again. Ever again. But the process of finding how far you can push your body. And like you said, we're all bodybuilders. Since we all are bodybuilders, you at least owe it to yourself one time to see, just one time even, to see how far you can take yourself, whether you get up on stage or not. There's the one thing in a lot of these different shows is called the transformation division. And that's one of those things where you really inspire your people that are down there watching you, wishing they could have done it. Okay.
Right.
You'll have, there's a young lady, if she ever watches this, I'm going to give her a shout out, Ayla Sayre. She was one of my competitors. I'm going to compete against her, but she was a fellow competitor. She lost 350 pounds. That's like 2 people. Okay.
Oh yeah.
And so she got up on that stage to show. Now she's also competed in NPC shows and everything like that afterwards. But she showed that whole inspirational thing of, look, here I was 500 pounds, and now I'm in the best shape of my life. In my 40s, this woman does yoga now where she can do like splits on her pinky toes. Okay. And it's just amazing what she was able to do. So it's like, you owe it to yourself to do that, to be that inspirational person. Like Joe Rogan says, be the hero of your own movie. You owe it to yourself to be the hero of your own movie and take charge of your life and the things you can control. You can control what you put in your mouth. You can control your movement. Exercise is nothing more than a fancy term for movement. Find the movements that you're going to do that produce something. Don't just sit there and do the 5-pound Barbie dumbbells and think you're going to get a bicep. You're not. It's got to be grueling, but just as Nike says, just do it. Fucking do it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I have a client, an online client, and he worked with me for 6.5 months and has become a friend of mine. And he wanted to do what I suggested earlier: go through like you're doing a prep. And the guy's like, I have no desire to step on stage, but I want to train that way and get the experience of that to hopefully develop the mindset to be able to live that kind of a lifestyle for the rest of my days. And he was 46 years old. And we went through that. He lost 65, 70 pounds, got a lot of strength, built some muscle. But the really cool thing is he had his blood work done the day before he started with me. And he'd kind of forgotten about it. It wasn't a good report, you know, as you can imagine.
Oh, yeah.
And he kind of put it in his desk drawer. He got it through his company. And then we went through 6 months. We'd set a goal date, 6 months, 24 weeks away.
Right.
And he came in on that 24-week mark and sat down with me, and he said, he was almost in tears. And he's like, I'd forgotten about this. I got my blood work done. That's something I wanted to do at the conclusion of this as well. He said, I started out with this being an aesthetic thing, to lose weight, look great, whatever. And I did that.
Right.
But he put down 2 sheets of paper. His initial triglycerides for the first blood work was over 600.
Holy shit. Okay.
And he laid down his new blood work. It was 71. That man, throw everything else out the window. And he did it. I'm not taking credit for that. I mean, I just drew the blueprint and told him to get his ass moving on a very regular basis. He literally saved his life. Literally. I mean, he was a walking fucking heart attack. And just every aspect, all the blood work was shitty. And then all the new blood work was all within normal range. Oh, and by the way, for you out there that think red meat and eggs is going to fuck up your cholesterol, his was perfect. And that's about all I had the guy eating. And it was just unbelievable. And that was such a monumental moment because, you know, I sat there and said, dude, you just saved your life and guaranteed yourself decades of living your best life, where you otherwise, this may have been a death sentence had you continued to move down that road.
Yeah.
So, you know, stories like yours, that massive, I mean, that was like nearly like David Goggins level weight loss that you went through, you know, and maybe not in 3 months, but
no.
You know, if you talk about investments, if you talk to anybody who invests, and if you tell them you can take 3, 5, 10, 15 years of neglect and abuse, and you can turn all of that around for most people within a year, tell me that's not the most incredible return on investment you can possibly imagine.
Right.
You know, and this guy that I just referred to did it in 6 months. In 24 weeks, he took himself from a walking coronary event to somebody who is in the peak level of health, not only physically in front of me, but also on paper. And that was one of the greatest moments of my career, you know, and it's just an awesome thing. And, you know, what you've done can't be measured. You know, you just can't measure what you've done for yourself, for what it's going to do for you for the remainder of your days. Who knows how many years you bought? 20, 30? We don't know, but it has to be in the ballpark, dude.
I hope so. Good Lord willing on that. I had a similar thing, not to top your client, because it's definitely not a topper, but this is the non-scale victories, if you will, where, you know, things, or not even the non-mirror victory. So, you know, I had a health, you know, my life insurance my life insurance with my work, and it sucked. And it was one of those things that's like, because they basically have you, no matter what you are, you could be 25, they're going to quote you as somebody who's like 47 and smokes 3 packs a day and, you know, whatever for your life insurance, and you're going to pay for that. So I went with a private company. They had to come and do my blood work and all of this. And they had quoted me, because at the time I was 47, they had quoted me at a higher premium. Then when they took all of my blood work and everything and my physical, they're like, you're in the shape of somebody in their 20s. We can't give you this premium. They knocked my premium almost in half.
Yeah.
Because you're I guess, I don't know what the term is, but it was one of those things. It was like, yeah, everything that in my age group, I should have been someone that's closer to the grave than to the crib, but they said, no, you're doing great. So here's your premium. Thank you. And I said, well, shit, thank you, drive through. I'll take it.
Hell yeah, absolutely. Take that all damn day long, man.
Right.
That's awesome.
And
yeah, that's another huge, I had a similar thing that I went through too. I mean, of course, no matter what, I'm always told my cholesterol is too high. Because they don't understand how that shit works. But, you know, I still had great numbers because every other physiological marker was perfect. And the last time I got that checked was actually fairly recently, and all my numbers were outstanding. And, you know, picture of health. And here I am, a 55-year-old guy that, according to the establishment, centralized medicine is doing everything wrong. And it just should be a walking heart attack. And the exact opposite is the case. So, you know, you have to take control of your own health. You have to take control of all of that. And, you know, you're going to have to march to your own drum and do some research and make sure that your health and your performance, your longevity, and your body composition, that you put as much of a premium on that as you do business and, you know, all the other things in life that's important to you, because it's what drives everything. So that's awesome. Awesome stuff, man.
The ultimate flex for people our age group, you see so many people, well, the ultimate flex period is having, you know, being healthy, but you see folks in their 40s and their 50s, they got the really nice car, they got the really nice house, they got the fancy TVs, but they're 250 pounds, 300 pounds, and their health is shit. The ultimate flex is I mean, having a nice house is great. I don't want to live in a fucking, you know, ramshackle tent or something like that. But walking into the room, being the freak in the room, all right, and being in great shape, it's a lot of hard work, and it definitely shows a lot more discipline than being able to put, you know, a car on credit. Okay. Anybody can get a really nice car, but you have to really work hard to have a nice physique. And again, it's not about vanity, although you don't get much more vain than walking up on stage in a spray tan and a smile. But you know, it's not necessarily about that as much as it is about the health aspect and the hard work that it takes to get there. And all the discipline, waking up at 4 a.m. every day to make sure you work out, make sure you go ruck, make sure you eat the right foods and everything else. That transfers into so many other things in life.
Oh yeah.
You go into work and people are like, oh man, it's such a horrible day. I've already had the best 2 hours of my day before I walked in the door because I paid myself first by going to the gym. Right. And then, hey, we need to tackle this, we need to tackle that. Okay, give me my Tim Hortons and let me tackle this and I'll be done in 5 minutes. And you're done. And everyone's like, oh man, you got that shit done so quickly. It's like, because it's not that big of a deal, dude. Relax. But if you push yourself, all these other things aren't that hard.
No.
For the most part. Of course, there's, you know, bad things that are going to happen to everyone, and that's something I have to deal with. But day-to-day mundane tasks turn into a much easier thing when you're already pushing yourself to be a better version of yourself.
Yep, absolutely, 100%. Couldn't agree more, man. Couldn't agree more. So what's next for you, dude?
Okay, so I hit the big 5-0 next year. I've learned my lesson about not trying to be easier on the suffering for bodybuilding shows, and I'm going to push myself extremely hard next year. So in this whole natural bodybuilding world and going through the process of being on social media and everything else, I've made a lot of really good friends in the natural bodybuilding space. I'm not going to go name drop like, oh, look, man, all these guys, but you know, the top echelon dudes. And I'm thinking to myself, go big or go home, because that's exactly what got me into 2021 shape, was go big or go home. I'm going to do the Natural Olympia in Vegas in November of next year. I know that's like, Chris, that's a year away. No shit.
Oh, well, it's time to start.
It's time to start, right? And I get to retire next year as well. So I truly believe that I found a passion in this of helping other people. I've since started training people at my gym. I've got a couple of great clients that are really out there killing it. I'm going to give a shout out to Lucy. She's down almost 75 pounds since some of it's been, she lost a little bit of it before getting with me, but she's been working with me. And that woman is a fucking warrior. I mean, I tell her to push hard. She pushes hard.
Good job, Lucy.
Yes. She is killing it. Got a lot of other great clients. Wendy's, she's a killer too. Allie, I hope you watch this video, because that woman is a straight up warrior as well. I've noticed that women definitely push themselves a lot harder than men in my personal experience, although I do got a couple dudes that are killing it too. So yeah, I get to retire next year, so I figure I'm going to bring everything in. I'm going to bring in 50 with a bang, and my passion is to get out there more, especially in the YouTube space, so people can actually contact me a little bit more. I have been a little bit slack on the YouTube in a while. But I'd like to help more people by becoming their trainer, either online or in person. And just my goal is to show people that I want people to live as healthy as they possibly can without the dependency on medicine. I know medicine has its purpose. We get that. But some doctors, their only tool is a pen and a prescription pad. And then the doctors that end up finding themselves unemployed are the ones that tell you, like my doctor that helped me, he was like, look, the reason why you have these problems is because you're putting this in your mouth. I can give you all the pills you want, or we can take care of you and not take care of the symptoms. And that's what I'd really like to do. I'd like to help people live their healthiest life and not be dependent on medicine to the greatest extent possible.
Yep. Likewise. That's exactly well said. That's exactly the goal. for both of us, I think. So that is awesome, dude. So dude, you're extremely inspiring.
Thank
I
you.
know there's going to be a lot of people watching this that are going to be inspired, and so they can continue to remain inspired. If people want to know more about you and follow along on your journey, which I highly advise them to do, where can they find you?
Okay, so on Instagram, it's all one word, Desire for Iron Fitness. Same on Facebook. And then my YouTube channel is also Desire for Iron Fitness. It was From Fatty to Natty Bodybuilder, but I decided I wanted to change it up a little bit. And so it's Desire for Iron Fitness. You can reach me if you want to send me an email, desireforiron@gmail.com. And I'd love to help you along your fitness journey in any way I can.
Great. I'm going to put all of that on the description. So everybody click on those, give Kris a follow. You won't regret it. And we'll have you back again and maybe chronicle some of this journey to the natural Olympia next year. I think that would make really good YouTube shit, man. So I hope you'll honor us by coming back on maybe in 2024 and keeping everybody apprised of your progress.
Roger that. We'll do. Thank you.
All right, brother. I'm going to let you go. I know you got big shit to do, and I really appreciate you being on. Let's do this again.
Yes.
And I look forward to even playing the smallest role on that journey to the stage again next time. And that's really exciting shit. But again, thank you very much for being on, and best of luck in all of your endeavors, brother.
Well, thank you, Rob. I have
Rob, you know, Bill. I'll take all of it.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean that, but I have to tell you, I know you said that you just gave the blueprint and someone had to do the work, but I can 100% say without you, I don't know if I would be the person I am today. You helped me, you believed in me, you supported me. I love you for it. I really do. I hope we actually meet in person someday.
We will.
You've been a godsend to me.
Well, you're too kind, and I appreciate it. Bravo on all your accomplishments, and I'll talk to you again real soon, man.
All right. Take care.
All right, brother. Take care.